You might consider him the anti-Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton. Meet game changer Jesse Lee Peterson right now. Hello everybody, thank you for watching CCN Game Changers. I'm Tami DeVine. If you haven't been paying attention to politics, time to start. Battle lines have been drawn. Everyone seems to be picking sides. I'll do everything in my power to keep bringing all sides of the political stories out there and then let you decide what to do with it. I brought you Jesse Ventura. One side of the political spectrum challenged his thoughts and beliefs when he was here for CCN Game Changers. Today, I'll challenge our latest game changer, Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson of the Bond organization. He's on the conservative side of the political spectrum. Thank you so much, sir, for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, let's talk about Bond first. What is Bond?
Well, Bond is the brotherhood organization of a new destiny. And we've been around for 20 years. Our purpose is to rebuild the family by rebuilding the man. I started the organization because I realized that not all, but most black Americans are suffering not because of racism, but the lack of moral character. 50 years ago, the government became the daddy of the family, and the corrupt black so-called leadership became the head of the people, including the godless black preachers. And they have taken black Americans down the wrong pathway. And so unless we reunite that family, things are only going to get worse instead of getting better. So we have a home for young men. We counsel them. We help find jobs, start businesses, encourage them to get married before having children out of wedlock. And I'm proud to tell you that 20 years, we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary. We have not received one penny from the government. I believe the less government in your life, the better off you are.
Well, I find that you are absolutely not shy about sharing your beliefs.
No, we got to tell the truth.
Yeah, I've seen you on CNN, I've seen you on Fox, I've seen you all over the place on major networks saying these kinds of things. I think angering a lot of people out there with some of the things that you're saying.
Yeah.
But also, you're not holding back. You look at it as the truth.
You know what it is? Prior to the civil rights movement, most black Americans loved truth. You know, I grew up with knowing that what was right, the right thing to do, to work for myself, not to beg, wimp, and whine. And then the government came in and civil rights leaders, and they pedicated black people. They made them feel good about being wrong. And so whenever you speak the truth about what's wrong with them, because they're not accustomed to that truth, they tend to overreact to it. And they got to toughen up. That's the only way life is going to change.
Well, we're going to talk more about some of these leaders that you're talking about. Right. I want to name names here, I guess. But let me just find out a little bit more about Bond. Aren't there different arms and branches of Bond? Like one is like a 501c3 that does the family stuff. And can you explain that?
The nonprofit aspect of it. We also have bondaction.org, and that's when we deal with the political aspect of what's happening in America today. So we do have two aspects there.
Okay. You also have a radio show that you do.
I do.
How often do you do that?
Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can go to my website at bondaction.org and get more information about it. But we're a national radio talk show.
And what kind of things do you talk about?
Politics, family, the race issue, relationships. A lot of men don't know how to deal with women today. And because not all.
No comment now. I'm just kidding.
But most women are very angry and destructive. And a lot of men don't know how to deal with that. So we're showing these men how to overcome their anger so that they can show the women how to overcome theirs. Because there is a spiritual order to life, and that order is God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. And right now that role is reversed. And as long as women are over men, things are only going to get worse because it's not in her nature to handle those type of things. So we try to reverse.
I bet you hear about that.
Oh yeah.
I bet you hear about that.
Yeah.
Do people get upset with you when you say stuff like that?
All the time, especially godless liberal women. They don't, you know, not all. Again, most women don't love the truth about themselves. They love to point out what's wrong with someone else. But when you tell the truth about them, they have a fit about it because, you know, their egos are so big and they're so insecure that they can't handle the truth about themselves. But there's a way to do it where, you know, like I tell guys when they get married, don't expect your wife to change for about 50 years. But if you don't resent her, at least you'll be better for it and your kids will be safe from it. Okay. So, you know, because we have to restore that order that God ordained. I didn't make it up.
So you're also a pastor. You have a church in the LA area?
I do, yeah. We have
What's your
Sunday
church?
morning service at Bond headquarters there on La Cienega and Pico and La Cienega.
Pico and La Cienega.
Yeah, 10:30 every Sunday morning.
Okay, we might have to have another separate show just to talk about that aspect of it, men
Yes.
and women and how they can get along and that kind of thing.
If you notice, the weaker men become, the worse things are. I mean, look at the black community, for example. The average black man isn't worth a dime, and now the black community gone down to pots.
Ooh, I know there's some black men that'll watch this that are going to have some major issues with
yeah,
that.
but when black men were in charge of their families, we didn't have the type of destruction that we have now. Out of wedlock birth, everybody and their mama having babies out of wedlock. Abortion out of control. Over 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills are located in the black community. Every day, over 1,500 black babies are aborted. It wasn't like that when men were the head of their families.
So you're saying that basically women are single-handedly destroying the world?
Well, women are very emotional and they don't make good decisions because their decisions are based on how they feel. Men tend to be more logic in their decision making, and most of the time it's the right decision. But when you let women make decisions, and not all women, of course, but when you let them make decisions, it's based on how they feel. Look at our country. Now that women are out there making decisions, we're now about to have gay marriage in the country. We have accepted homosexuality where we didn't accept it when men were in control. Abortion is accepted more as women are making decisions. Everything is based on how you feel and not what is right. And that's why men gotta, once again, protect their wives spiritually and financially, because it is the order of God.
Aren't there emotional men that make decisions based on emotion?
There are, but it's abnormal for a man to make decisions based on emotions. Men who make decisions based on how they feel are just like their mothers. They have their mother's identity because you become like what you hate. And a lot of these mothers are raising their children with anger and emotion, and they are willing themselves upon their children and changing their identity. And so you do have men who think and feel like women, but that's not his proper state of being. That's not his natural state. That's why we tell them they have to forgive their mothers so that God can forgive them, and they can switch identities, take on that manly identity instead of the feminine identity.
So you're not necessarily saying. Let me see if I got this right. I think probably this is going to be one of our highest rated shows. Probably is my guess. Once we put it out there on the internet too. Let me see if I'm hearing you right. That you're not necessarily saying that it's all the women's fault. You're also saying that that you're working on fixing some of the problems within men.
Absolutely.
So that they can, am I hearing you right?
Okay.
Okay.
If we get men back to their proper state of being, then women would be fine too, because they would be protected by a man, you know.
Now, is that going back to being barefoot, pregnant, staying at home with the kids?
No, it's going back to that order and doing what's right. Men loving God with all their heart, soul, and might, and then the woman love the man who loved God, and the children love the mother who loved the father who loved God. And things tend to work. They will work better in that manner. It's not a competition between the two. It's just a spiritual order to life. And women who run into good men, they love that. They're subject to a good man, and they hate weak men. And most men are weak today.
How does the cycle stop if there's not that, core family going on? How does that cycle
It's not going
break?
to stop until we can change men, and that's what we're doing at Bond. We're getting the guys to understand why they're so angry. It's not about racism. They're angry at the type of, mother or father that they had, weak parents. And so we get them to overcome that. The cycle starts to change at that very moment, because now men love what's right more than they do the woman or anything else, and they can do the right thing.
There are people that would say that you're preaching hate. You're preaching, hateful words towards women, hateful words towards black men, hateful words towards gay people, and all of that.
Well, you have in society, because it's a battle between good and evil, you have people who love good, and good is working through them. And then you have those who love evil, evil working through them, to those folks. So I can't worry about what they think, because I know who their father is. Their father is the devil. And so this warfare between good and bad or evil is going to be happening. But I can't be concerned about what evil think. I have to be concerned about what is right and put that out into the world so that a change will come.
Why do you get to be the one that knows what's right?
Well, I think most people do know what's right, but they lost their way with it and they don't know how to get back to it. I'm not the only one. I mean, we've been around 20 years, and I've worked with people around the country of all races, all financial statuses, men and women. And there are those who love what's right, they recognize it when they hear it and they come back to it. And those who hate what's right, they reject it. And that's just the way it is. It's not personal.
Boy, you know, my show took we went off the rails today, because I sure wasn't going to take that much time to talk about, you know, that kind of thing. But I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did. I'm glad to know where you stand on that.
You know, one of the reasons it's so important is that things are not going to get better until men come back to order. It's not in the nature of the man, of the woman. It's in the man. And when you want to destroy a society, you destroy the man first. It's easy to deceive the women and children.